Welcome to the Love Clarity Podcast, where you come to heal your relationship trauma and learn to love deeply without losing yourself. If setting boundaries makes you feel guilty, uncomfortable, or like you're pushing people away, this episode is for you. Because boundaries don't break relationships. They reveal which ones are real. Welcome to the Love Clarity Podcast. I'm Sanya Bari, relationship therapist and coach. And today we're talking about something that changes everything. How to set boundaries that actually work without guilt or without second guessing. So boundaries don't hurt people. They're actually revealing who benefits from you not having those boundaries. The reason we feel guilty setting boundaries is that many of us were systematically raised to believe that love means self-sacrifice. Putting this crown on this idea that, oh my God, did you look at that guy? He never ever says no. He's so amazing. Oh, and she's just everything for her kids. She did everything and look what happened. And you guys, you can imagine moms in a group exchanging battle wounds about who's done what for her kids and other people. And all of us have this type of banter. It's very common. It's very not seen as anything, but that's what happens in love, kind of a thing. Well, I'm here to say that is not love. That is guilt. That is over responsibility. And when you take guilt and you do something, you also simultaneously have the option to do that same thing you were going to do with loving. But here's the deal. Whether you get hurt in that type of loving or not depends on whether you did it from the love that you also have inside you, or whether you pick that fast food guilt that was ever present, gnawing at you, soliciting you, showing you little videos, because that's what ego does. That's what ego and fear and guilt will do, and over responsibility will do. Now, what is over responsibility anyway? Over responsibility is taking responsibility for anything that somebody else can do. Anything that others are capable of doing, but you do because you get maybe the quick, feeling that, hey, I get to have things done the way I want them done. Or you get a little momentary satisfaction that the one you love isn't in pain. But when you do things for people, when they can do it for themselves, you not only give them the idea and the signal that, by the way, you can't do this as well as I can. You also continuously make them lose courage in themselves that they can ever do things for themselves. And as you're taking over responsibility, the reality is you can't take over responsibility unless you're in a way simultaneously forcing the other person to take under responsibility. And so if you're increasing in your over responsibility and they're decreasing in their under responsibility, at some point, this dynamic is meant to fall. It's meant to break, because the one taking over responsibility is going to feel taken advantage of. And the one that is that's taking under responsibility is going to feel controlled, and both are going to feel unappreciated because you're not even being with each other. What is king there is not you and the person that you're in a relationship with, is that anxiety of wanting to do things a certain way, wanting to never see the person that you love in pain. When I say I don't want to see the person that I'm in love in pain, like obviously, why would I? Why would I want somebody I love in pain? But here's the reality. When you take away the natural consequences that a person has of the choices that they have made, then you have to give unnatural consequences. Let me tell you a story. I had this moment where my eldest one, who is one of those kids who just growing up, right now he's old, but he's older. But when he was a kid, like he was just such a good boy, a teenager in high school. He just was such a good boy that I would say to him that, why don't you say no to me? You need to do things that you want. And because he was so overcompensating on doing so many things right, once in a while when he would make a mistake, I would try to help him. And he had this thing with cars. He would drive in this way that he would keep getting these tickets. And every time he got these 1 ticket and 2 ticket, these first 2 tickets, it was always a pivotal time in his life where it was very stressful. He got very upset, and he already had this idea of being this perfect kid that he didn't have the time to do whatever you do need to do, which is sit in court and deal with it or make the money to pay for it. So I bailed him out the first time, the second time, the third time. And the third time there was a ticket, and we were still in transit, like we hadn't done let's say that I hadn't taken over responsibility just yet, but my intention was to go right there. And I sit in the car with him and he's driving, and every single time he had those tickets, he would make all these promises, and why would I not believe him? And I'm watching him. He's not realizing that I'm watching him, and he is driving in a way that I'm saying to myself, oh my God, Sanya, if you don't do something, something really, really dire can happen here. It's irresponsible to a point where it's dangerous. And I had already done some of those things in the first ticket and the second ticket that I was doing unnatural consequences. You're going to do, and the reality was that I didn't like putting those unnatural consequences on him. And I would even say to him that I can't believe that you're putting me in a position where I have to talk to you this way. I don't want to. Please take this from me. So, I don't have to. There were things that you could put on, like monitors to watch speed. I was going to do all of that. I was going to do a lot, and I would then be the bad guy. And it's fine. I don't mind being the bad guy, but there was no need. I just then scaled back. And this time, as it was progressing, it was even a bigger time for him in his studies, and he's in med school now. So it was a very pivotal time for him, but I let him fail. And it's the hardest thing I've done as a parent to watch the ones that I love. I would rather me get hurt than anybody, my kids get hurt. So it's been the hardest thing in my life to not take over responsibility for my children. I literally have to physically hold myself back. But I know that I'm just hurting them, because whatever they haven't learned from the first and the second or whatever time, because sometimes it's more than 1 or 2, that it's just going to keep coming back because they never learned it. Why didn't they learn it? Because mommy took all the consequences away. She absorbed it. So it's almost like I am so interested in learning the lesson from them that I'm not allowing the child, my child, to do it. And then when he doesn't, I get upset about him. It's almost like I create the insanity that I get upset at my son for. And I never allow him to actually deal with the insanity that he's creating. So it just creates this thing. So understand that saying no to people, having boundaries, it's really, really important. One of the things that I read that stays with me, and I sometimes, when I was especially training myself to say no, was that I would remember this thing Nathaniel Branden wrote, who has done seminal work in the field of self-esteem. Every time you say yes to someone, what you really want is to say no, you in essence say no to yourself. When you keep saying no to yourself over and over again, it's almost like you're denying, Xing yourself out, nixing yourself out, deleting yourself, disregarding yourself. And that is exactly how self-trust is broken. I want to ask myself, what is it inside me that needs to please this person so much that I would change who I am for it that I would hurt myself for it? And why is it that this person who's asking me this thing, that maybe they shouldn't ask me, maybe their ask is so big, but they still have the audacity to ask me. This is something I use all the time. I say, if somebody has the audacity to ask me something, then I use the same audacity to say no to them. Let's say that instead of using the word audacity, I use the word close, being close. Let's say that somebody feels that they're so close to me that they want to ask me for this favor. Well, I can use that same closeness that they feel with me to say no to them. How many times haven't I seen people, friends, really close friends, where one friend feels like she's real close to the other one, but the other one who keeps self-sacrificing, and may I say secret sacrificing, doesn't feel that close. And that other friend might say, oh, she's narcissistic. She doesn't see my point of view. She never sees me. And I'm going to say to that one, the one who keeps self-sacrificing, the one who keeps secret self-sacrificing, I have that experience too. I've done that too. So I can tell you even by experience that I asked myself when I would do that what about you? Do you see yourself? I get it that she doesn't see you, but do you see yourself? When it comes to it, when there's a point to make a decision, when there's a choice between you and other people, you always choose other people. So then she does the same. When she has a choice to choose between you and other people, she chooses other people, including herself, because you choose her too. So it's like we teach people how to treat us, and then we get upset about them. And I'm guilty of that. I've done that myself, and enough. So don't fall into the people-pleasing trap. Don't say yes because you're afraid of losing them. I'm going to say, if you are afraid of losing them, you want to really think about it. Do you even really have them? Or are they only in your life because you keep pleasing them? Here's the issue that I had when I was healing my people pleasing. There was a reality inside me. There was a secret reality inside me that I knew that all of these people who love me, they love me because I have been busting my everything to make it happen. I have been creating this impression that they have of me. So I was more scared to let that go than other people, because I knew for sure that what these people are seeing and subscribing to is a facade. But there has to be a point when it's so hard to remain closed and to remain small that you got to be like, okay, I'm going to just take the chance, and I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to be me. And let's see who's really my friend. And maybe you lose some, and some do come back, and others don't, that were never your friends anyway. And it's necessary cleaning. It's helpful cleaning. So when you say no, remember that. Now, the only thing I really want to say about boundaries that people miss out on, this is something about boundaries that people miss out on so much, where you and I will take boundaries and we will think that there are rules for other people, and we're going to make a list. I literally printed one out one day and gave it like a memo and think that, okay, here it is. Now you deal with it. So I'm going to make 2 points. The first point I want to make is that boundaries may be rules for another person, but they're your rules, and it's your job to establish them. When people keep rules like, how about the yellow light rule that we're all trying to be like, oh, it's still green, it's still yellow, right? And we're trying to push that. When the rule, people push boundaries. They're meant to push boundaries. If you just go with the premise that people are going to push boundaries, but it's my job to establish them. Let me go over the boundary establishment process for you. You keep your boundary. Yes, please express it to other people. Then wait for them to break it a few times. They're going to break it a few times. That's how you establish the boundary. Boundary establishment requires breaking. So if you're creating your boundary at a point where you are going to break if the boundary doesn't happen, then it might be not fair, really. But you have to understand that when you're making a boundary, give people a time, a period where they're going to break it a little bit and notice that, wow, you don't budge. That doesn't say anything about anyone except for the fact that that's the process. Number one, it's not other people's problem that it's your boundary, but it is yours. And make sure you make it your problem. Number two thing about boundary is that on a regular basis, I have seen people use boundaries as barriers to their hearts. And Dr. Hulnick would say this, Dr. Mary Hulnick would say, don't use boundaries as barriers to your heart, because you can create an armor that becomes your prison. You can create boundaries that become walls and wall you in. Sometimes people are hurt so much, they'll think the best way for me to proceed is to have boundaries, and they will make so many boundaries that they can't allow love to come through either. So boundaries have to be tethered in your own self-trust. Self-trust is like, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I don't know who's going to be with me or not, but I know one thing. I know I'm going to be by my side. I'm going to be with me. I'm not going to betray me. I'm going to manage my boundaries. I'm going to remember what's important to me. I'm going to not betray myself. I'm going to say no when I want to say no. I'm not going to say yes just because I want to please another person. The person I want to please the most is me. I have a responsibility to me. At the end of the day, I have to go look at my face in the mirror and I want to be like, yes, I am taking action that is aligned with who I am, that is not a lie, that is not a facade. And I'm going to give you three-step boundary framework. Number one thing, pause. When somebody asks you to do something, don't just say yes right away. Say things like, let me get back to you. If it's a text, just don't reply. If you say, let me get back to you, and you actually go and say, yes, I'll do it, people will appreciate it a lot more than they would if you just said yes. But then you gave yourself, it's not about the appreciation that we're going for. We're talking about the consent. You pause to take consent with yourself. And if you say, let me think about it, you've already made the little bed for yourself to say no if you want to. Strange enough, people appreciate those people more who sometimes say no. Their yes is a lot more appreciated. So number one, pause. Number two, check in with yourself. What is it that I want? Is this okay with me? Am I being loyal to me? Am I upholding my boundaries? And number three is that you choose you. You choose you every single time. Remember, boundaries only work if you make them work. Just reminding yourself, their reaction is not my responsibility. My well-being is. If you struggle with boundaries, you're not alone. But you deserve relationships where you don't have to betray yourself to be loved. If this helped, share it with someone who needs it. And make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. I can't wait to see you again soon.